Here's an example of something that I've mentioned a bunch. Maybe I've highlighted it before. I don't know. Either way, this kid's a fucking brain dead retard. One of many, a carbon copy of a carbon copy. So based on what they said, why are you mentioning the assassination of JFK? A lot of times I'll just rattle off canned responses to kids because most people act the same way. Hence a carbon copy of a carbon copy. So somebody in here called me a conspiracy theorist, said conspiracy theory. Somebody rattled off that junk. So what I told them was, if you had a fucking clue what you were talking about, the last thing you would do is rattle those things off online and reaffirm our master's official narrative, which originally was put in place, this social engineering jargon. I'm referring to... Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Because this kid doesn't. He can't analyze and interpret. Can't extrapolate information from the internet. He can't read words and process the information. I'm talking about conspiracy theory and or conspiracy theorist. That shit was drummed up. It was concocted. It was put in place to fuck us up. It was put in place to defame anyone who spoke out against the Warren Commission, which related to the official findings behind the JFK assassination. Which is why I brought up the JFK assassination. But this kid can't reason shit out. So I'm giving them another canned response. I said, the answer you seek requires critical thinking skills. And they're just going to rattle some shit off and or call me bro. Most likely. Or tell me you're yapping. Or one of the other just lame fucking things kids do today. This is all based on a post having to do with gravity. Gravity doesn't exist. Now, when you say something like that, yeah, you can drop shit and it will fall to this rock. The magic force that people have been told, sold, and urged to repeat does not exist. There are rules to how reality works, but gravitons have never fucking been observed. And the pseudo-intellectual hogwash that people have been spoon-fed can't be replicated in a fucking laboratory study. What do I usually say about science? Replicable, evidence-based research, which you can produce again and again and again and again. Now, some of the wet farts out there will say, well, if I pick up a bowling ball and I drop it, it will fall to this rock. Yes, it will. But gravitons have never been fucking observed. It's a flowery word that was applied to something that does reflect reality, to a degree. But it was purposely put in the public sphere to corrupt and mislead and manipulate us, and by degrees subjugate us. Our masters rename things all the goddamn time and or hijack things. I'm going to mention something else which will probably sound like it's a spurious correlation. In other words, I'm dashing in another direction that doesn't make any goddamn sense unless you fucking think about it. Would you agree that, well, I guess it is called this, toxic waste is toxic? So our masters took the word toxic and they have drugged that word through the fucking proverbial mud. And now, when most people say toxic, they think of masculinity. A polarizing agenda put in place to act as propaganda. Most people bought into it. Now people fucking use that word regularly on the internet. They do so casually. They do not think about it. They don't think at all. If they did, they'd understand that it's polarizing bullshit. They'd also appreciate that these social engineering trends related to colloquial phrases and whatnot, the social engineering jargon, respectively. This shit is spoon-fed to people. This is also why we have the internet. And numerous forms of communication so that we're connected, but technically people such as myself are becoming more and more disconnected. It's also by design, not by coincidence. I'm Masters are pulling a lot of strings right now. Most people don't realize that they have strings, let alone masters. Because you and I are surrounded by fucking retards. There's a bunch of people in here. They chimed in, they whined. Just stupid fucking people. Stupid, stupid fucking people. But what do I know? What the fuck do I know? They're trying to defend gravity. The nonsense that our masters urged them to repeat, and they weren't bright enough to challenge because they've never challenged themselves. You can pop on in here if you want.
Is it possible to witness?
And keep in mind, sometimes Steve will post things that do reflect reality, then he'll tell you all about quantum physics and a bunch of flowery fucking fairy tales, adult fairy tales. He'll corrupt the information. He'll corrupt what does, by all rights, reflect reality here and there. Either he doesn't know or he's getting paid to do so. It's one of the two. Regardless, this account circulates propaganda. In the title, watch gravity pull two metal balls together. Gravitons would have to exist for that to be true, and it's not something you can prove reflects reality.